Welcome to the most haunted restaurant in Austin, the Austin Pizza Garden. Built in 1898, this building was a general store and even a Masonic lodge for the Freemasons. Employees have seen a woman in a white dress and other specters in the store. Would you eat here? I have, and it's creepy.
Did you ever want to have a spirit with a real spirit? Well, you can at the Whitney in Detroit. My favorite restaurant. Built in 1894 by David Whitney Jr., the richest man in Detroit. During construction, his wife died, and then he married her sister, so let's just keep it in the family. David and his wife both died in the house, and some say they never left. There's also a tuberculosis ward, so a lot of children and nurses died here. Voices, footsteps, silverware, plates being stacked are all heard throughout the building, when no one's around. Also, the elevator will move between floors and open randomly, which I've experienced. On the third floor, guests have lovely conversations with the bathroom attendants. The problem with this is there are no bathroom attendants.
Where'd that tip go?
So if you want to drink with David, have tea with Gracie, or sing with the children in the carriage house, let's book a table at the Whitney.
Alright guys, a lot of people requested a part 2. So I work at the Double Eagle in Mesilla in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And it used to be a house in 1849 and it was owned by Señor and Señora Maese. And they had a son, Armando Maese II. And he fell in love with a maid. So the mother caught them in bed together after she forbid them in this room and killed them both with a pair of scissors. So in my last video, there was a figure of a woman, and the same woman was taken in this photograph in this room in the early 70s. Pretty creepy. So this is the main dining room. This is where we serve steak and seafood. Really beautiful. The ceiling's gold, and we actually have 2 restaurants. So this in here is Peppers, and this is Tex-Mex food. So in here is our Isabella Ballroom, and we have a second bar back here. There's so many more beautiful pieces and things about this restaurant, but I'm running out of time, like for part 3.
The Brier Restaurant in Gatlinburg, Tennessee is haunted by the ghost of a young woman named Lydia. The Brier used to be a lodge that catered to wealthy hunters and tourists, and legend says that Lydia was staying at the lodge on the night before her wedding. On her wedding day, she dressed in her gown and headed off to the chapel for her wedding. But her fiancé didn't show. The jilted woman returned to the Greenbrier and hung herself from the rafters of the second-floor landing. Some versions of the story say that her fiancé's body was later found by a group of hunters where he had been mauled by a mountain lion. The broken-hearted Lydia still roams the Greenbrier in spirit, often disturbing dishes and breaking glasses. She's even been seen as a full-bodied apparition.
When you go for fine dining in New Orleans, my favorite restaurant is Muriel's, and it's my favorite haunted restaurant too. You never dine alone here, and there's a table always set up for the ghosts with wine. Spirits are thirsty, spirits are hungry. You can see them, hear them, smell them, feel them, converse with them, all throughout this beautiful establishment. Muriel's at Jackson Square has had many owners over the years, and many of them are still here, watching over their building, joining you in on your dinner, listening into modern tales of what goes on in their city that they once built. This is Muriel's, my favorite, and this is Bloody Mary, Voodoo Queen of New Orleans.
This is a haunted restaurant in Waxahachie, Texas, 30 minutes south of Dallas. And you heard me correctly, this place, the workers claim that it is haunted. They have a book of all these ghost experiences. Oh, and by the way, the catfish here, amazing.
This building used to be the most haunted restaurant in Elgin, Texas. It was known as Quilfer's Pub and was home to a spirit that people nicknamed the Mortuary Ghost. This building used to be a mortuary and funeral home, and people have seen lots of spirits in here, including a black shadow and a woman.
inside the Delaware City Hotel, you can find the restaurant Krabby Dick's. Before it was a restaurant, back in the 1830s, it was a popular tavern for many soldiers stationed in Fort Delaware. Today, they say that these soldiers still haunt their favorite tavern. Loud and unexplained noises are heard all over the restaurant, doors open and shut on their own. Mysterious orbs appear in photos, and they say that the wife of the original owner haunts the restaurant, but she only appears to men that are dining alone.
That's the ceiling right there.
Turned the corner in the washroom and I opened the door and I saw a little girl standing there. She pleaded with me with her eyes. Her eyes stayed with me and they still stay with me. I can still see her eyes, and she was a very unhappy young lady.
There were no children in the building with us that evening, which leaves the question of how our audio recorders picked up what seems to be the voice or the cry of a small child. We decided to return with Kelly Muse, a local psychic and spiritual healer with whom we had worked before.
She began conducting her spiritual cleansing ritual, and as she was concluding it, I began to have the oddest sensation in my right arm. My arm is numb. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Go towards the...
Here's another scary ghost experience that I had. So this is the El Adobe restaurant that is in San Juan Capistrano. San Juan Capistrano overall is just a very haunted town, but this restaurant is one of the most reportedly haunted places in that area. Before it was a restaurant, it was actually a jail that would hold prisoners who were in line for death row. To this day, they actually have one of the original jail cells that they use as a wine cellar, and you can dine down there and everything. So my friend Maddie and I, we went there and we wanted to experience some paranormal activity, so we asked the manager about it. He said that he's had so many experiences and that he would let us investigate down in the cellar. And this was after hours, which was really cool. The prisoners aren't the only ghosts who haunt this location. There is said to be a woman, and it is believed that her son was in jail and was in line for death row, and she comes back looking for him. Part 2 next.